Today on the Big 6 in 60, the Magic go up 3-1 on the Pistons.
Frankly, the Magic haven't looked like this engaged, this intense.
The Nuggets stay alive against the Timberwolves.
Those are the three guys I think that were most important tonight. Was Spencer Jones, Nikola Jokic, Cam Johnson.
And Texas Tech QB Brendan Sorsby under investigation for gambling.
Under NCAA investigation related to alleged wagers placed.
This is the Big 6 in 60, the 6 biggest national sports stories from our local experts at the Locked On Podcast Network. We bring you the real story, why it matters, what's next, who wins the big game, and more, all in 60 minutes. The Big 6 in 60 starts now. Thank you for making the Big 6 in 60 your first listen of the day. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com and win $300 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. The Magic beat the Pistons again in Game 4 to take a 3-1 series lead over the top seed in the East. Philip Rossman-Reich with Locked On Magic breaks down the win.
We have been asking this question all season long, really even since the very beginning of the season, really since the first time the Orlando Magic played the Detroit Pistons way back in Game 5 in October. We have been trying to figure this Orlando Magic team out. We've been trying to figure out and find out who this team is and why they don't quite feel like the team, A, we thought they'd be in the preseason, but B, the team they have been under Jamal Mosley over the last 3 years. We haven't been able to put those pieces together. We haven't been able to put that puzzle together quite yet. And we've asked this question to so many of the players and to so many of the people involved with this team, like, why doesn't it feel right? Why hasn't this team gotten itself together, figured out all those pieces, figured out everything they need to figure out? Why can't the Magic reach back into the archives, into the depths, and have that muscle memory of who this team is supposed to be, or who we thought this team was going to be? You can criticize me all you want in the comments, and I'll say what I'm going to need to say at the end and give my mea culpa and talk about all this at the end of this episode. You can say what you want to say, but if there was a reason to doubt this Magic team, it's because they haven't looked like this. It's because, frankly, the Magic haven't looked like this engaged, this intense, this excellent on defense all season long. What the Magic are doing here in this playoff series against a 60-win Detroit Pistons team, what the Magic have done in this playoff series is simply astounding. You can go on Twitter, find your favorite national NBA personality, and they will say, this Magic team was dead in the water 2 weeks ago. This Magic team was dead in the water a week ago. Everyone had written them off, and they had every reason to. And now they're this. Now they are one of the most destructive and dominant defensive forces in the league. Now they are a team that can't put the ball in the basket, but they will make sure you can't either. That's playing with the swagger and confidence. This is the, maybe not the offense, but this is the Orlando Magic we imagined. This is the team we thought we were getting at the start of the season. This is the team that is everything we could have hoped for. This is a team that is so frustrating and demolishing this Detroit Pistons team, which again, I want to yell at me all you want. I want to give them the respect for what they did in the regular season. As our friend Kuka Heel of Locked On Pistons has said numerous times on our podcast and his, the Magic are making the Pistons not look like themselves. They have got the Pistons in such a vice that they're questioning everything around them. That's the truth. And that's who this Magic team was always meant to be on defense. It's always who they were meant to be. And we haven't seen that come to the front at any point this season. at any point, except for maybe the 7-game win streak. Except for maybe that stretch of November. We just haven't seen it like this. Orlando could not make a shot down the stretch. I think the two teams combined over the last 5 minutes of the game to go 2 for 18. 2 makes where Desmond Bane banked in 3 and Isaiah Stewart put back at the very end of the game. If the Magic didn't get in the bonus and foul like crazy in the fourth quarter, this could have been really ugly for Detroit. The Magic ended up winning the second half 40-36. This is, we're going to put you in a box. We're going to wrestle you. You're going to get down in the mud. You're going to get dirty. And that's how we described the Magic for all of last season. Because we couldn't trust their offense. And to a certain extent, you still can't trust this Magic team's offense. But we couldn't trust the offense. And so we said, just drag teams down into the mud. Make them get dirty. See if they like getting hit. Because most teams don't. Charlotte found that out the hard way. And so quite simply, the Magic flipped a playoff switch. Like there's no other way to explain it. The Magic flipped a playoff switch. They look like a much different team. They look like a team that is more dominant physically, is going to push you around, is going to make everything you do that much harder. They look like the team we always imagined. They look like the Orlando Magic. That is no easy feat. That is not an easy thing to do. Why it took 84 games for the Magic to figure all this out, I don't know. Maybe it really was, this is our last chance. Maybe it really was, this is the playoffs. This is the stuff that matters. This is what we've worked for. We snuck in by the skin of our teeth. Now we're going to show who we are. Now we're going to silence everyone. Now we're just going to be about each other and forget all the noise and all the frustration. This was our fresh start. We're going to play that way. The Magic are bullying the Detroit Pistons. 20 turnovers for 23 points. Cade had another 8 turnovers. Put him in a box. He scored only 2 points, both from the foul line. He was 0 for 5, I think. 0 for 6 in the fourth quarter. In a game where the Magic shoot just 32.6%, they were in control the entire way. Detroit never took the lead again. I think they took a brief lead in the second and the third quarter, but they never led in the fourth quarter. Orlando just, like a boa constrictor, the more they struggled, the tighter it got. And then, yeah, they got timely shots. They made free throws, 25 for 34. So they left points on the board still. It still doesn't feel like the Magic have played their best game. Franz Wagner missed most of the fourth quarter with a sore right calf. He did say in the locker room he'll have an MRI tomorrow, or on I guess today. He'll have an MRI on Tuesday. He's hoping that he'll be good to go. He pulled himself from the game because he wasn't feeling good. And it was bad enough that he felt that he could pull him, that he needed to pull himself. So we'll see what Franz's status is. And that's obviously a huge factor because Franz Wagner has played some incredible defense on Cade Cunningham. He was 19 points in this game, plus 17 in the game. The Magic need him. And the Magic really, really need him. But at the end of the day, the reason why we're one game, the reason why this team is one game from returning to the second round for the first time in 16 years, from accomplishing that goal that has so eluded them, and accomplishing that goal that they had at the start of the year, is because they have at last not only embraced their identity, they have become it. It came out of nowhere. It literally came out of nowhere. But here we are. They've done the job. They've put themselves in this position.
If you've got a sweet tooth like I do, you know how tough it is to find that perfect treat without all the sugar. That's why the Fruity Rainbow 5-Hour Energy Shot brings that nostalgic flavor back in a whole new way. Fruity Rainbow 5-Hour Energy Shots treat your taste buds to an explosion of fruity flavor with a tasty caffeine kick. It's a quick, easy way to satisfy that sweet craving while keeping things simple and on the go. It's a zero-sugar treat that's sweet tooth approved. It's become my go-to when I want something sweet without going overboard. Get candy-flavored chaos with Fruity Rainbow 5-Hour Energy shots, available online at 5hourenergy.com or Amazon. The Nuggets stayed alive with the 12-point win in Game 5 over the Timberwolves behind Nikola Jokic's triple-double. Matt Moore and Ryan Blackburn with Locked On Nuggets recap the response win from Denver.
Nuggets get the win, 125-113 over the Minnesota Timberwolves. Lots of things I think to talk about. Lots of stuff to get into.
Yep.
I want to start here, Ryan. This is how I kind of thought of it when I was walking to the car in the rain. I think from the start, Cam Johnson set the tone. Nikola Jokic cemented the tone. And Spencer Jones ignited the run. That's kind of how I think of it. Those are the three guys I think that were most important tonight. Was Spencer Jones, Nikola Jokic, Cam Johnson. Now, Jamal Murray had 24 points, 7 assists, 4 steals, plus 6, 4 boards. Jamal was good. Had some the turnovers I thought were not great, but like he was good. But I think those other guys were the main characters of tonight.
It's really interesting. Like the most important battle in these playoffs for Denver and Minnesota has not been in the backcourt. It's been in the front court the entire time, where Rudy Gobert and Nikola Jokic have obviously gone back and forth. Julius Randle, Aaron Gordon, Spencer Jones, those guys have gone back and forth. Sometimes Julius Randle really helps out. I kind of don't necessarily think of him as like a game changer. Like, you know what you're going to get from him on a consistent basis, and sometimes he's going to make good plays and sometimes he's not, but he made some really impressive shots at the beginning, but then also had some crucial turnovers throughout this game. And then Jaden McDaniels, of course, has been extremely impactful on not just the defensive end, but has had some moments on the offensive end, just really setting the tone in some ways and forms. But Cam Johnson matched him, man. Cam Johnson did a really great job. How about Cam Johnson stepping up in an elimination game, going for 18 points, 6 rebounds, which was noted by David Adelman in a feisty post-game presser, 5 assists, 3 steals, 8 of 13 from the field for Cam, and he was 5 of 6 from 2, 2 of 7 from 3, plus 24 in a game they win by 12.
Comes off of the first DHO, rises and fires. The thing I've been literally talking about him not doing. Just rises up and fires, and he has to get the bounce, but it does drop, and they're off and running from there. He goes 2 of 7 from 3, but he also goes 6 of 6 from 2-point range in this game. Yeah, no, that's right. 13 field goal attempts.
I did my math incorrectly for sure.
Yeah, 13 field goal attempts minus 7 3-point attempts is 6. And 8 makes minus 2 makes from 3 6.
It's late.
I was not a math major. I was a arts and I was an arts.
You're an arts and crafts man. Yay!
I have a bachelor's in arts.
No, you're 100% right about that battle and the difference. I think like Jamal, and so what's funny about the Jamal aspect versus Jaden was that for so much of this time, I've been asking, why are you just going directly at Jaden McDaniels? Like, why is that the thing? And so I think that Cam won that battle against Jaden. Like, if you're going position by position in a massive way, like partially because Jaden was not very good, but Cam also really stepped up in those moments and really set the tone, as you mentioned. I like the way, like, he continues to show a little bit more toughness than I think he gets credit for. And it certainly gets credit for, because everybody thinks like they have their own opinions on that. But like, I do think that he showed some mental toughness, some physical toughness in this game, battled for sure, and went through physicality. And he had that dunk down the lane in transition where nobody really wanted to close on him. It was a good night for Cam.
You don't have to be Dylan Brooks. And like, look, there's some people that hate Dylan Brooks. There's some people that love Dylan Brooks. Dylan Brooks is his own player. There are pluses and minuses with Dylan, just like there are with every player. Every player has pluses and minuses.
Yeah.
You don't have to be Dylan Brooks. You don't have to be Kevin Garnett. You can be your own version of that. But the thing was that Cam brought in this game was that he was flying around. Him and Spencer together were the two guys that were flying around the most. There were so many possessions where Cam was not only Like he grabbed 6 rebounds after he grabbed 2 in each of the previous 3 games.
Yeah.
So he has many rebounds tonight as he had in the first 3 games or last 3 games of the series. So, like, he brings that kind of thing, but it's also like tapping loose balls, causing deflections. He's got 3 steals, being in the right place at the right time, but putting yourself, getting into the action, getting into the mix, being active, and just being like, and Adelman said after the game of the aggressiveness and that tone. Again, you don't have to be some sort of like big tough body. I'm a big tough man. You don't have to do that. You could just be like a really great professional athlete who's super athletic and makes the right plays and is able to get to the rack. The dunk, the steal that he had for the dunk was absolutely that was a huge moment in that fourth quarter. But Cam, I thought from the very start, was the guy that brought the kind of activity and energy that they really needed, especially with AG out.
Yeah, 100%. And like, there's so much that Denver had to answer in this game about mental toughness, want to, question marks in terms of, okay, the way that these last couple of games have gone and the way that guys have kind of folded, like, how are you going to respond in a better environment? The crowd was behind them, although crowd was not certain at the beginning of the game how things were going to act.
Tense. It was so tense in Ball Arena. Like I was saying pregame, I was like, oh, if they go down, like it reminded me of 2019 Portland game 2.
Yeah.
And somebody was like, oh no, it was like the Spurs game. I was like, no. Spurs game was different. That was like the first playoff series. But what happened was they play game 1, they beat Portland. Then the Avs went to overtime the next night, I think, or it was like a late game. And then the next night, the Nuggets played game 2. And so everyone was like, you could tell that like half the crowd had been to the Avalanche game and were cranky and tired. And then the Nuggets could not hit water if they fell out of a boat. And so they got booed at halftime. And that was the same kind of like I came into the arena that day before that Portland game and was like, man, the crowd's like mad. Like they're ready to be mad. They're just angsty. Yeah. And that's kind of how the crowd felt tonight, which is like, okay, we're here.
Not sure what we're going to get.
Not even that. Like, you better not disappoint me.
Yeah.
And
had a lot of those conversations with fans leading up to this game, and just in terms of what they're expecting, what they're hoping for. But Cam Johnson, one of the guys that really set the tone at the beginning. I thought that Denver approached this game really well in the first half and in the first quarter, especially. Minnesota had 9 turnovers in that first quarter. They had 9, and a lot of that was due to their own mistakes, but a lot of it was just Denver was being a little bit more physical and a little bit more intentional about getting into them and trying to make them work for some things. And I thought Minnesota was pretty sloppy, but it allowed Denver to get off to a good start. And yes, there were some moments throughout that second quarter and into that half that you could have seen the momentum slip, but Cam Johnson was one of those guys. Joker, I thought, like, huge 3 right at the end of that half was a big deal. And of course, Spencer Jones all throughout this has been amazing. I know we'll talk about him plenty.
Welcome back to the Big 6 in 60. The Thunder finished a sweep with a 9-point win over the Suns, sending Phoenix home in 4. Ben Garcia with Locked On Suns talks through what went wrong and recaps the season as a whole.
The last 2 months of the season were concerning, but the season overall was a success. But how much of those things should you be concerned about? But with all that being said, let's first start here. So the Phoenix Suns are swept out of the NBA playoffs to the Oklahoma City Thunder. Is it expected? Probably. Do people around the league, does anyone else outside of Suns fans see this series and say to themselves, well, yeah, we kind of expected that. So we do have to take that with some perspective. That if the Suns had won 1 game in this series, it would have been seen as a massive win. Had they had won 2 games, it would have felt like they won the series. So as much as there is some negative, we do have to keep some sort of solace and understand that the Suns probably weren't supposed to be here in the first place. But that isn't an excuse and a reason to run from some of the reasons why the Suns lost. And it feels like throughout this series, there was a trend or a theme, if you will, for the Phoenix Suns. They would figure out something from game 1 and take it to game 2, and then game 2 and take it to game 3. And game 3, they would take it to game 4. But it just felt like, and not even from a score perspective, not from a basketball perspective, just from a adjustments perspective, if you will, that the Phoenix Suns always felt like they were playing behind the 8 ball from the Oklahoma City Thunder. And what do I mean by that? Well, in Game 2, there'd be some turnover woes. Remember, guys, I blew a freaking gasket because the Phoenix Suns could not hold on to the godforsaken basketball. Well, they kind of fixed that in the next game. Well, then it was the rebounding issue. Well, no. Then it was the points in the paint issue. And the Suns fixed both those things tonight. Tonight, the Phoenix Suns, tonight the Phoenix Suns played the Oklahoma City Thunder good enough to a stalemate, if you will, in terms of rebounding. 39-33. That is more than acceptable for the Phoenix Suns, who are a smaller team. And the points in the paint, they actually outscored the Oklahoma City Thunder. Well, so why'd they lose? Well, 2 reasons. One, they got in a shooting battle with the Oklahoma City Thunder. What the hell are you supposed to say about that? Like, it's the freaking Oklahoma City Thunder. They are going to make you look silly sometimes with the way that they shoot. That is acceptable in terms of what happened. It's not acceptable they didn't get out on shooters. I thought they were slow to rotations numerous times. The one that isn't acceptable is your stars didn't show up. And I know you're not a real fan if you go after Devin Booker. You're, just a hater, and you don't love this team. You just want to see this team fail. But I've seen the frustrations about Devin Booker, and I'm here to tell you that they are more than warranted. Don't let someone tell you you are not a real fan because you dare question Devin Booker and some of his shortcomings this postseason. Devin Booker, as we've mentioned before, is going to be a $70+ million player. He's not yet. He will be soon, though. And regardless, what the hell does it matter? He's going to get that money anyways. I don't care if it's next season, this season, or 10 seasons from now. He's getting that money. This wasn't me raising the expectation for Devin Booker. This wasn't you raising the expectation for Devin Booker. This was Matt Ishbia, Josh Bartelstein, who for God knows what reason is still involved in the Suns' day-to-day operations, Brian Gregory, and the Suns front office as a whole saying, no. We are telling you what expectation to hold Devin Booker to. We are going to give him a 2-year, $145 million contract. $70+ million a year. That's what Devin Booker is going to get. Hold him to that standard. I didn't give him that money. You didn't give him that money. The Suns gave him that money. And the Suns told you to hold him to that standard. So if sometimes I come off as a little harsh or maybe perceived as negative, I don't mean to be that guy. I just want to be someone that you, the listener, can trust. I think you deserve that. I never relish in this. But this is unacceptable. This is completely unacceptable. And there were some people, the people, the fans or some certain section of the Suns, whatever, sphere, were like, well, Devin Booker better empty the clip tonight. He better go after it. I already told you. Devin Booker's got to leave it all on the court tonight. I already told you. There's nothing Devin Booker could have done in Game 4 to make me change my opinion that he is no longer a superstar. If you want the further long explanation to that, go to the last show or 2 shows ago after Game 3 where I said what a superstar is and why Devin Booker doesn't quantify as that. He is getting paid like a superstar, and he is not performing like a superstar. It is simple dollars and cents. It is definitely okay to have these harsh criticisms. And just so we're clear, Devin Booker would tell you himself, someone who can handle the criticism that he did not play well tonight. And he hasn't played well this postseason. This is unacceptable. And this is why I've been a little bit harsher this year, because the Suns told me to hold him to this standard. Tonight, Devin Booker played like a player that was not getting double-teamed. He played like a player that was scared to get double-teamed. He had 4 turnovers tonight in the first quarter. 6 turnovers as a whole. How many times do I have to tell you guys, because you know this as well, until we're both blue in the face, points already come by pretty easily for the Oklahoma City Thunder. They scored 131 freaking points tonight. They don't need you to just hand them the ball and go back the other direction and get free points. That's on Devin Booker, who his first 4 turnovers tonight, maybe you could say the 5th one wasn't that. He just gave the ball to the other team. Completely unacceptable. The second some pressure showed up, he lost the ball. He was bad from 3 tonight, 1 for 6, made 8 shots as a whole, had 7 made free throws tonight that helped kind of cover up some of those deficiencies. Otherwise, he wouldn't have 24 points tonight. He was minus 16, and defensively, he was bad as well. Well, but Ben, the 6 assists, that's great. A guy that handles the ball a lot should be distributing it somewhat efficiently to shooters like Colin Gillespie, who were unconscious today from 3, 6 for 11. We have to hold our superstars, quote unquote, really our stars, to a higher standard. And what we saw tonight was completely unacceptable. And he is going to wear most of the blame for this singular game being lost, and he should wear most of the blame for the entire series. We'll get to Jalen Green. We'll get to some Dylan Brooks stuff. Devin Booker cannot go unscathed. And I'm not advocating that the Suns need to just trade the guy. That's not what I'm doing here. We can explore all avenues in the offseason. But I'll tell you what, the elimination game thing is starting to feel like a real thing for Devin Booker. In elimination games, he averages 23 points, 5 assists, 41% from the field, 20% from 3, and he is a overall minus 19 when he's on the floor. 54% true shooting percentage. Does that sound like a guy that should be warranted $72 million? Or $70+ million? No. So I'm here to validate your frustration, Suns fans. And we're going to hold the guy accountable. Devin Booker has to be better. That's really it. This performance, this postseason, I mean, I thought I was going to, get more upset with Jalen Green. At least Jalen got them here through the play-in tournament. Unacceptable. Defensive lapses, turning over the ball, not hitting from downtown. He had a couple assists, great. If I have to hear the double team argument, or they're blitzing him, if I have to hear their blitzing him or double team argument for the 50th time, I'm going to lose my mind. All the stars, every star and superstar in the NBA is blitzed and has double teams. SGA gets blitzed all the time. He gets double teams all the time. You know what he does? He splits the double teams. He still gets his. And he don't make as much as Devin Booker yet. This is your star player. We're going to hold him accountable. Doesn't mean you don't love Devin Booker. It doesn't mean you don't love what he's done for the city of Phoenix. Doesn't mean you don't admire his loyalty. Now, the Suns paid him for that loyalty with that massive extension. You can still hold a guy accountable and still say you still love Devin Booker, the player and the person, and you love this team. And don't let anyone else try to tell you different. He knows it. You know it. I know it. His performance is unacceptable, and it just has to be better.
Texas Tech quarterback Brendan Sorsby is taking an indefinite leave while the NCAA investigates reported sports betting activity. Casey Cowan with Locked On Texas Tech takes you through the latest.
Texas Tech quarterback Brendan Sorsby under NCAA investigation related to alleged wagers placed. More reporting emerging now this afternoon, and we'll get to some of that coming up. Certainly want to get to your questions or comments, reaction as well. So feel free to join us there in the chat if you wish. With the only Chris Level, I'm Casey Cowan. You know who we are. You know what we're doing. we're just back to find some company, I think, to process some of this misery with, Chris. They say that misery loves company. I'm feeling a little bit of that vibe here today. So we had a conversation just a moment ago that has been published publicly, obviously, and wanted to kind of get back together as soon as we could with the mob to catch up on anything else we're learning here this afternoon. And was just curious, maybe some of what you have gathered since we last talked that could kind of help maybe clarify, I don't know, some timelines or some processes, the whole knowledge or non-knowledge of this from a program standpoint. Very interesting to me and many others, of course, as well, when there's so many millions of dollars on the line. So, hey, good to see you again. Felt like I was just with you. How's your afternoon going?
Just trying to process everything. Crazy day. I don't think anybody really can speak to that they know how this is going to turn out. Maybe we came off as, or I did, like, oh boy, a while ago, but I'm just going off of past precedents. I'm going off of the fact that this is a national story, and NCAA has been pretty harsh when it comes to gambling. There's plenty that we don't know. I think some of that's going to come down to what is the total dollar figure here, because I think that factors in on how much was either wagered or won or lost. I can't remember how they determine it, but it doesn't take much to have been wagered to really like trigger the worst of the penalties, at least based on the past. I've seen Calvin, you sent me a link here with some of the chats, and like somebody was asking, let me see if I can find it and pull it up. Somebody was basically saying, if I'm not a lawyer, but could
I got it on the screen here. What's stopping him from suing or getting an injunction, bogging down this whole thing? Our guy Mark texted earlier and was like, are we supposed to still listen to the NCAA? Kind of a similar question. Yeah, what do you think?
And like, did he admit to this? Is this incorrect information? How much money was wagered? How recently was? I mean, there's all kinds of things that come into play. Because I'd be willing to bet you that, golly, I keep doing that. I need to stop with the game.
We're not changing our cliches.
I know. Yes, golly. I'd strongly suggest that I bet, I'll just say it again, that he will be declared ineligible at some point, and then the appeals process will begin. That's what that seems to be a fair assumption to make. He is on a leave of absence now. I think I guess I didn't see this, but is this true that this is like a 30-day stint in this rehab facility?
That's the initial thing I saw. I don't know if that's confirmed or not, but
okay. Yeah, that's
could be extended to 60, could be a 90 I saw as well, but 30 days.
Okay. And then at what point, I mean, that's the other thing is, okay, so you have an appeals process. Like, I mean, it's just like, when does your stack of papers get to the NCAA versus the other guys on whatever else is going on in that office? I mean, I don't know. And so, and then what was pointed out is by some folks, it's like, well, that could just be like some giant distraction. Is he playing? Is he not playing? And you're just dealing with this on a daily or weekly basis or whatever. So I don't really know what will go on. Maybe others with better info or more knowledge of the situation would seemingly be more optimistic about it. That's very fair. This is just all kind of hitting us at face value, and just kind of this is a new one for me, in that you have a quarterback that goes on a leave of absence. And again, I know that you were saying a while ago, our focus is on Texas Tech, but man, if he's got some sort of issue that he needs to go to a rehab facility for, certainly hope that he can deal with it. But right now, like with what you're trying to get done, and you're trying to play at a very high level and trying to go, defend your Big 12 championship, and you aren't sure who's going to play the most important position on your team, because it's not lost on me either that there's already been a report out that Will Hammond started throwing 10 days ago, could be ready for the opener.
What coincidental timing.
Like,
hey, let me add this too, because on that front, let's see, our audience here of learned doctors, one of them spoke up. Kyle Tatum. Sorry, I didn't mean to dox you the entire way, Kyle. Dr. Tatum. He said he's treated 1,000 ACLs. If there was going to be a delay, you would know in the first couple of months. He says 9 to 12 months, but that range is only because of the risk of re-injury linked to returning before 9 months. Hammond could likely be doing football-type drills between 6 to 9 months. The doc says he bets he can participate in fall camp right at the 9-month mark from surgery. I just wanted to offer that up because the doc offered it up to us.
Yeah, and like, you know, we've always known that Will would likely be available at some point in the season, but like, again, how quickly would that be? And then when he does come back, you gonna run him? I mean, you gonna is that what you're rolling with? I mean, I wouldn't.
You know how I feel about that. I was in the fetal position every time Baron Morton left the pocket.
Yeah. Yeah, you know? That's right. That's right.
So, etc.
So, I think there's been some speculation that maybe he gets some games as a suspension. I just don't know precedent here. I don't know. And again, I think some of this is going to come down to like some of the information that we just don't know. How much was this? How recent was this? When did everybody know it? Why is Cincinnati free and clear if he was betting on, because now the report's out that he was going to Reds games and betting on pitches and the thing like balls and strikes. I mean,
$2.50 a pop is what the report said.
Okay. And so which means he was betting when, did Cincinnati not know about it? Did they not turn it in? I mean, I don't know the answers to these questions. And does Indiana have any stake in this, or is Texas Tech just going to be the one that pays the penalty? I don't know. But it is there will be lawyers, and I'm sure. And as we're sitting here talking, it's being reported that Brendan Sorsby's legal team of all the timing has filed this deal in Ohio court or whatever, saying, hey, we think that this is unenforceable on his buyout. So that's a whole separate thing, that he's not paying your $1 million penalty and all that. Point is, he's got a legal team that was already dealing with this, and now they may be dealing with other things as well. So it's just how quickly, and a year ago, you had the spring portal to potentially do something with if you wanted to maybe go find somebody. But even then, even if it was now, is that what you would go do, or do you feel comfortable enough to let the process play out and go, no, he's going to get some games? So I don't know.
Is there any clarity yet on the timeline here? Because you and I were going back and forth on trying to figure that out with spring camp just concluding. He's obviously a part of that. He's a part of the spring game or whatever on Friday night. He's got a camp over the weekend. I mean, is this fresh at the door of Tech this Monday? Is there any rumbling? I mean, like I already said, we had a mobster that was texting about this rumor a couple of weeks ago, wherever that came from.
It's funny how those rumors turn out to be true more often than not. Sometimes
we've learned things over the years. Yeah. A lot of people out there with eyes and ears. You got to remember that.
That's right. And this is a really big, very small city.
The Eagles traded up for USC receiver Makai Lemon at number 20, adding another answer at wideout with A.J. Brown trade rumors still hanging over the team. Louis DiBiase with Locked On Eagles gets into the fit with him in Philly.
Let's first talk about the positives with this draft class, because on paper, there is a lot to like about these draft picks Howie Roseman made on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. I personally love that he went with offense with the first 5 picks to get cheaper and younger on that side of the ball. And look, were there some picks that maybe I didn't agree 100% with which prospect to go with? Sure. I mean, look, I love Makai Lemon, but I would have rather had Omar Cooper Jr., if I'm being honest. At tight end, Eli Stowers, I'm really excited about. Personally, I had Oscar Delp a little bit higher on my board, but I really like what Howie Roseman did in all 3 days of the draft. So let's go over with each prospect the thing that I'm most excited about. And when it comes to Makai Lemon, there's a lot to like. His separation ability, his strong hands in traffic, high pointing the football in contested catch situations. But the best part of Mekhi Lemon's game is the manufactured touches. It's the ability to create more after short yardage receptions. And that's something when you look at the Philadelphia Eagles offense over the last few years, and could I even say like the entire Nick Sirianni, Jalen Hurts era, if they're not creating easy yardage through the run game, they're not doing it. I mean, how many times were the Eagles last year in 2nd and 11 situations, 3rd and 7+? Because if the run game could not get going on first down, the passing game didn't have answers to create easy yardage in the screen game, pre-snap motion, these quick hitters to the boundary over the middle of the football field, mesh concepts. Like that just was non-existent in a Kevin Patullo offense last year. Even in 2024, their easy yardage came from the run game. This year, to stay ahead of the sticks, Mekhi Lemon is going to be really important. There's a reason people compare him to fellow USC alma mater and now Detroit Lions star receiver Amon-Ra St. Brown. Daniel Jeremiah says Mekhi Lemon's a receiver that plays like a running back, has the mentality of a linebacker. He is really hard to tackle in the open field. He is so good at breaking tackles, at turning a 5-yard play, a 3-yard play, a negative 2-yard reception behind the line of scrimmage into a first down, into a 20-plus yard explosive play. I mean, he had more first down receptions last year than pretty much anybody in college football. So I think that's what I'm most excited about when it comes to Mekhi Lemon. He is really going to help in an area of weakness for this offense. And Vanderbilt tight end, the Eagles' second-round pick, Eli Stowers, I think he's also going to be used in that way a lot. Vanderbilt used him in a lot of creative ways last year, getting him the ball in space. But the thing that I'm most excited about with Eli Stowers is the rebirth of 12 personnel. When was the last time the Eagles had a respectable 12 personnel package that a defense had to respect what they do throwing the football? Last year, if Grant Calcaterra was out there, if any of those scrubs behind Dallas Goedert in that tight end room were on the football field, you knew Saquon Barkley was getting the ball, and they averaged like under 3 yards a carry in 12, 13 personnel situations. Why? Well, in large part, they could just key in on Saquon Barkley because they knew the Eagles weren't going to throw the football in those situations. And even if they did, whoop-de-doo. We're not scared of Grant Calcaterra. Now, with Dallas Goedert out there, Eli Stowers, Devontae Smith, Mekhi Lemon, and Saquon Barkley, that's your 12 personnel package. That's the most respectable 12 personnel you've had since, 2018 when Alshon Jeffrey was still really good and you had a solid Nelson Aguilar and then Zach Ertz and a rookie Dallas Goedert. Like, is that the last time they had 2 receivers and 2 tight ends out there together that you had to worry about in the passing game and that could open things up for your running back? Probably. It's been probably 8 years. And the way the NFL is moving, this is the way offenses are thriving right now. Under center, bigger personnel in the passing game. Look at the Rams last year, how many tight ends they used in 12 and 13 that helped them get to the NFC title. The Eagles need to move in that direction as well. And Eli Stowers in the second round is really going to help them evolve in that way. Markel Bell from the Miami Hurricanes at pick 68 in round 3. What am I most excited about for the offensive tackle prospect? Size, right? Size and power. I mean, this guy is 6'9", 340 pounds, 36-inch arms. He was built in a lab to protect a quarterback. And while I am definitely nervous about how he can handle bendy, smaller edge rushers, he has a long way to go technique-wise. But I'm excited. I mean, this guy has all the physical traits you need in a cornerstone left or right tackle. Could he be King Dunlap 2.0? Sure. But could he be Jordan Mailata 2.0? Like, he's not that athletic in the open field, but I wouldn't be surprised. And the good thing is he can learn and develop behind Lane Johnson and Jordan Mailata for at least 1 year, if not multiple seasons. Markel Bell's size is just so fascinating. I mean, you just see him on the field and he sticks out. Like, you cannot not notice Markel Bell. I wish Jeff Stoutland was still here to get his hands on this kid to develop him into a stud. But regardless, I like that the Eagles continue to bet on traits on the offensive line. And then Jonathan Grenard. Look, they didn't draft Jonathan Grenard, but they spent their 98th overall pick in round 3 on a star veteran edge rusher from the Minnesota Vikings. And what I'm most excited about is just that they finally have a sure thing number 1 edge rusher. And do I believe Nolan Smith can be that guy? Yeah. Do I believe Jalix Hunt could be that guy? Yeah. But can you guarantee right now, like, is there no debate that those two are premier number one pass rushers in a defense? No, you can't really say that yet. They've shown flashes, but they are not like undebatable. Like, you cannot debate that Nolan and Jalix are number one guys. Jonathan Grenard, you can't debate that. Like, he is that guy. Even last year when his sack numbers were lower, listen to these numbers from the last 2 years. Jonathan Grenard, hurries per game in 2024 and 2025, 3.2, which was fourth in the NFL. Pressures per game, 4.4. That was eighth in the NFL. Pressure rate, 16.7%. That was ninth in the NFL. Top 10 in hurries per game, pressures per game, and pressure rate over the last 2 years. He completes that defensive line. Now you have four really good edge rushers with Arnold Ebiketie as your fourth. You've got Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis, and Moro Ujoma on the interior. That's 7 studs on your defensive line that can disrupt the quarterback. That's what I'm most excited about with Jonathan Grenard. And then on day 3, Cole Payton, for me, it's all about mobility. The quarterback out of North Dakota State. I like having a mobile quarterback behind Jalen Hurts. So if Jalen goes down, you don't have to completely change the way you play offense. Cole Payton was used even before he was a starter at North Dakota State, kind of like Taysom Hill, kind of like Tim Tebow when he was a backup to Chris Leak at Florida in, wildcat packages, short yardage situations. They used him as a runner. The Eagles could use Cole Payton in the tush push. They could use him in the red zone. Like, could you use 2 quarterback packages on the field at times? I think Cole Payton is a really interesting prospect on day 3 to develop into, hopefully, the long-term backup to replace Tanner McKee. The mobility part is what I like the most. That is what I want in a backup to Jalen Hurts. How about Georgia guard Micah Morris, drafted in the 6th round? For me, I love the run game focus here. The run game power of Micah Morris. When he's pulling, he can take bodies out in space. He is really good at blocking for running backs. As a pass blocker, still definitely a ways to go. He's a raw player, did not start much in college at Georgia, but I think this is a move to help the run game. This is a move to give you options if Landon Dickerson continues to get injured, if Tyler Steen is not really playing up to standard for an Eagle starting offensive lineman in year 2 as a starter. By the way, he only has 1 year left on his deal, and Landon Dickerson's taking things year by year, bringing in a potential long-term guard option. I know he's a 6th-round player, but bringing in somebody with traits like Micah Morris, I think, was a really good move. Cole Wisniewski, the safety from Texas Tech, what I like most is his tackling. He has a linebacker background. He changed positions, and he has that kind of size. He has that hip power. He's 6'3", over 220 pounds. I mean, this guy is somebody that can get his nose dirty against the run. Kind of like Reed Blankenship a little bit. Do I love him in man coverage? No. Does he have 4.3 speed as a single high safety that can go sideline to sideline? No, absolutely not. But best case scenario, or worst case scenario, I should say, you're getting a really good special teamer in Cole Wisniewski, who I think could be like a really solid gunner. Let's talk about the kid from Nigeria that's never played a lick of football in his entire life. 7th-round pick, UR Bernard. What do I like about him? Well, he doesn't play football, so why did the Eagles draft him? He's an athlete. This kid's from a small village in Nigeria where he only played basketball, but he is 6'4". He is 306 pounds. He jumped 14 inches higher than any other defensive tackle prospect in this class, which is the position he's going to focus on, defensive tackle. His athleticism score in this class was 96, which was first. His raw athletic score, 10 flat, which was first. I love it. It's from the International Path Program, just like Jordan Mailata came from in 2018. Will it work out that well again, twice in under a decade? I'm not predicting it, but hey, when you have 3 7th-round picks, if you're Howie Roseman, take a shot on somebody that's built like Myles Garrett that could play defensive tackle. And if he figures it out, you could have a Jordan Mailata on the other side of the football. I think UR Bernard. We'll figure that out throughout the week. UR Bernard is one of the most fascinating stories this offseason for the Eagles at training camp. I'm really excited to, even see him in the preseason. Like, that's going to be a really fun story to follow along. And then final pick in the 7th round, edge rusher, Keyshawn James Newby. I love the production. This is somebody that got to the quarterback a lot in college, and it wasn't just pressures, it was sacks. It kind of reminds me of the Antoine Powell-Ryland pick was it last year or 2 years ago, where he's somebody in college you knew was getting 7 to 10 sacks a year, and for a final pick in round 7, I like going for production there, especially with all the traitsy guys that Howie Roseman focused on in this draft class.
Welcome back to the Big Six in 60. The Saints used the number 8 pick on Arizona State receiver Jordan Tyson, giving New Orleans another big weapon for young QB Tyler Shuck. Ross Jackson with Locked On Saints lays out the upside.
Arizona State wide receiver Jordan Tyson, and how it is that he is set to help take this New Orleans Saints offense to the next level immediately with his rookie season. We got all that and a little bit of lanyap for you on today's episode, so let's get into it. I truly believe that Jordan Tyson is going to be one of the most important New Orleans Saints immediately upon his arrival here in the Crescent City. He will stand next to wide receiver Chris Olave, who's coming off of a career year as the top wide receiver options and the top pass catching options for the New Orleans Saints offense, and for second-year quarterback Tyler Shuck, who's trying to embrace a second-year leap as opposed to a second-year slump. I should have said a second-year jump. That would have rhymed, but you get the idea. And the New Orleans Saints are clearly trying to avoid that second-year slump as well, making sure to give him as many weapons as they possibly can over the course of this offseason. But no weapon that the Saints have brought in this offseason is more exciting than Jordan Tyson right now. All due respect to guys like Travis Etienne Jr. and Noah Fant, and of course David Edwards, who helps to solidify the offensive line. No offense to any of those guys, but when you're the top 10 selection at the NFL's kind of most picturesque position, you're going to be the guy that gets all the attention. And that's certainly what is going to happen once Jordan Tyson takes the field. He's going to get all the attention of opposing defenses, along with Chris Olave, that are going to lock in on him, and that's going to help to create some opportunity for other players. But he's going to need to go out there and create and make opportunities and still make plays anyway himself. And he showed that big time that he can do that all throughout his time over at Arizona State. So just as a reminder, I want to take a look at the initial fit for each player, what could potentially be on the way for them, and the traits that kind of support that initial fit. So starting off with Jordan Tyson here, the initial fit for him is easy. He's the primary wide receiver option in addition to Chris Olave, right? Like, those guys are the primary pass catching options. They are the lifeblood of the passing defense for Tyler Shuck, Kellen Moore, and this New Orleans Saints offense. I said passing defense, I meant passing offense. When it comes to Tyson, the thing I have to struggle not to say is that he's going to come in and be the X receiver. The X receiver, of course, is the split end receiver that lines up all by himself on the line of scrimmage, usually opposite the formation from where the tight end is, which is what designates, which we would call the weak side. Then you have the Z receiver, who lines up on the strong side, the same side as the tight end, typically speaking, but is off of the line of scrimmage, makes it a little bit harder for opposing defenses to press or create contact at the line of scrimmage. And then you have the slot receiver, who plays a little bit tighter to the formation, usually tighter to the formation inside of where the Z lines up. And for all three of those spots, which, if you're an everydayer, you know this. If you're new here and you're just joining from during the draft and everything, I hope that you'll stick around. You'll learn a lot here, I hope. But you know, I don't talk about wide receivers in the Madden way of wide receiver 1, wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3. I talk about them usually based on their responsibilities, X, Z, slot, all that. The thing about Jordan Tyson is kind of the same thing that's also on about Chris Olave, and is kind of the same thing about Devon Vele as well. Another one of the Saints wide receivers is that they can play X, they can play Z, and they can move into the slot, and you can move them around even more than that if you want to, right? Chris Olave's taken snaps out of the slot and run some routes out of the slot, out of the backfield, and run some routes out of the backfield before and all that. Like, these guys, you can kind of move around. So instead of referring to them as like, oh, this is the person that comes in to be your wide receiver 1 or your X receiver, I'm going to say that he comes in and he's one of your primary receiving options, because no matter where he lines up on the field, he will have the opportunity, and he has the skill set, talent, traits, and competitive nature to make the play. Whatever the play is, he has the competitive nature, he has the tools, he has all of it to go out there and get it done. And so I think that he immediately shows up and takes on kind of the co-crown of primary wide receiver target, primary pass catching target, along with Chris Olave. What are some of the things that help him do that? Outstanding in terms of creating separation off the line of scrimmage. Great creating separation at the top of his route as well. Top of the route being you push upfield and you're trying to sell that vertical release. You're trying to sell to that cornerback, hey, I'm just going to run down the field, right? I'm going full speed here. But then at some point, you might change the angle. And so maybe you run an in, which goes to the middle of the field. Maybe you run an out, which goes towards the sideline. Maybe you run a post, which goes out, that goes in and up towards the goal post, and hence why it's called post route. Or maybe you're running a corner route to where you're going out and up towards the corner of where the field would be. In any case, at that spot where you change direction, that's the top of that route. And his ability to create additional separation there by maybe selling an inside release before breaking to an outside release, or selling upfield momentum before crashing back downfield on a hitch or a comeback or a curl. His ability to create that separation is going to create opportunities for Tyler Shuck to target him in the passing game. But when he doesn't create a window, he's also a fantastic contested catch receiver, a 50-50 ball merchant, some might say, and he makes some insane and incredible catches, has outstanding body control, really good leaping ability, great tracking. There's a pass that he catches that he caught in the first week of the season up against, I think it was Northern Arizona University, where he's tracking the football, tracking just meaning like looking up for the football and trying to look it into your hands. And so he's tracking the football while turning his body towards the sideline. And I don't know how he kept his eyes on it, considering that he's got a helmet that's blocking and cutting off certain parts of his vision, right? And he manages to look the ball in while kind of falling over the outside shoulder. I don't know how he did it. It was remarkable. And all those abilities show you exactly why it is that he can be a primary wide receiver target for this team upon arrival. Not a couple of weeks in, not once he gets used to the offense, none of that. Just right away, day one, at the rookie minicamp, he's going to be out there making plays and insane catches and all that. He's a great route runner, everything. So he just checks every box that you want as a primary wide receiver option, just like Chris Olave does. And now you have both of those guys out there ready to get going for you. On the horizon for him, what's next? I wrote in my story over at LouisianaSports.net, one word: greatness. That's the next step for a guy like Jordan Tyson. Jordan Tyson has the capabilities, the tools, the talents, the traits, the mentality, the competitive edge, the competitive nature, the build, all of it, to be one of the best wide receivers in the NFL. And he was the best wide receiver in this year's draft class. And now he's going to enter an offense that's going to try to boost all of the things that he does well. That's how head coach Kellen Moore operates, right? He wants to put you in position to be able to take advantage of all your superpowers. And this guy's got a lot of superpowers. And so you put him in position to do that. He takes advantage of that. He stays on the field. He stays healthy. That's really kind of the next step for him, because when he shows up, he's already going to be great. The next thing that he gets to build to is being elite. And the New Orleans Saints, with head coach Kellen Moore and wide receiver coach Keith Williams and a good crop of players around him and a great quarterback, they're going to be able to get the most out of this player. And so everyone should be very excited.
That's all for today's Big 6 and 60. If you follow basketball, football, or college sports, the Big 3 and 30 has a half hour on the biggest news in the NFL, the NBA, and on campus, going up every weekday just like this one. Just search the Big 3 and 30 NBA, the Big 3 and 30 NFL, or the Big 3 and 30 college, wherever you're listening or watching now. Thanks again for tuning in to the Big 6 in 60.